Mom, Aunt Linda was naked in the bedroom yesterday, Noah said while playing with my hair. My whole body went cold. The Starbucks coffee on my nightstand went cold too, and the steam just vanished. All I could hear was the ticking of the kitchen clock and the soft static from the baby monitor I never turn off. What do you mean, sweetheart? My voice came out low and scratchy. He pointed toward my bedroom door and said, I woke up to a weird noise. Dad said shh, and Aunt Linda wasn't wearing any clothes. The image that exploded in my head even came with a smell. Sweat, sweet perfume, the same Victoria's Secret scent Linda wore on Thanksgiving. I work as a nurse at Adventfield, trained to tell real pain from drama, but that day, I felt a kind of pain I can't even explain. I remembered my work badge hanging from the rearview mirror of my Toyota Camry, the one I'm still making payments on the night shifts I push through to pay the mortgage on our Baldwin Park home. The come home early text Mark would send on a massage that I'd always reply to with a heart emoji, tired but happy. Then Noah said it again, like it came out of nowhere. Aunt Linda was here yesterday. I tried to smile and told him, my tongue feeling heavy. You just had a dream, baby. But this dream had details, and he kept talking. I saw Aunt Linda's sparkly sandals, the sparkly sandals. Linda's sandals, the ones from Target she showed off like they were diamonds. If I had gotten off my shift earlier, I would have seen it with my own eyes. But I worked the whole shift, and now, there was only one question. Did my son dream it, or was it real?
Before we go on, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any chapter full of twists like this one. Hit that like button right now, because it helps me bring you more real and intense stories. Comment down below and tell me which country and city you're from. Share this video with a friend who needs to see it, and send your story to the email on the screen. I'd be happy to share it here on my channel.
I'm Rachel. I grew up in Orlando, daughter of Nancy, older sister to Linda. My aunt has always lived 5 houses down from ours, on the same tree-lined block where the branches seem to keep secrets better than people do. I married Mark when I was 28, dress from Nordstrom Rack, dinner at Olive Garden, cheap honeymoon in Clearwater Beach. Nothing glamorous, but all ours, just the way we wanted. 3 years later, Noah came along, blonde hair, this little habit of pressing his nose against my neck when he wants to sleep. I learned to live on night shifts, nights at Adventfield, Starbucks coffee in hand, early mornings listening to the beeping of heart monitors while my own heartbeat matched the rhythm. Mark worked remote in ID, always in a Nike t-shirt, headphones in, with a calm presence that always grounded me. Linda, the fun aunt, would drop by with brownies from Publix, TJ Maxx discount stories, and advice I never asked for. She'd say I worked too much, that men need attention, laughing with that coral lipstick that leaves a mark on the glass. I'd laugh too, thinking family is where you can let your guard down without fear. At home, our routine was simple. 6 o'clock, I'd cook pasta with Rouse sauce, Noah would be drawing dinosaurs, and Mark would wrap his arms around me from behind and say, "You're my life," and I believed him. Last month, I took on extra night shifts to cover for someone on vacation. It's temporary, I'd say, and Linda, always ready, would offer to stop by the house in case Noah woke up and needed something. She'd always ask, "The garage code is still the same, right?" I'd say yes and thank her. That morning, after Noah's words, everything hurt. But I needed more than pain. I needed certainty. And what I found when I started digging wasn't just about betrayal. It was about a lie that started long before me. And what I uncovered shattered me to pieces. I started with the simple stuff. I opened the Ring app, our doorbell camera. In the past few months, I'd never really paid attention to the overnight recordings. Scrolling through the history made an imaginary sound in my head, like pages flipping, odd hours, shadows moving across our porch. 1:12 a.m. on a Tuesday, motion detected. 2:47 a.m. on a Friday, motion detected. I zoomed in. The reflection in the window was of a woman with narrow shoulders, hair tied up in a blue scrunchie. Linda had a blue scrunchie. I took a breath. played it again. The sparkle from the rhinestones on her sandals burst in the camera lens. Meanwhile, Noah was on the living room floor coloring a T-Rex. "Mommy, can I use the green?" I nodded, my hand trembling. I opened the home app, our smart garage lock. Entry logs: 12:58 a.m., 1:03 a.m., 2:51 a.m. Secondary code. I had only ever given a secondary code to Linda last year when I broke my wrist and needed help with Noah. I never disabled it. It could have been paranoia. It could have. So I went to the smells because smells don't lie. I opened Mark's sock drawer and found everything. An envelope with an old Best Buy voucher, a Tampa Bay Buccaneers keychain, and the cologne he swears he doesn't wear. I know Mark's scent after a shower Dove Men, but on the Saturday sheets, there was something sweet that wasn't ours, leaning toward cheap vanilla. Victoria's Secret Bare Vanilla. That night I went to work, standing on shift at 3:20 a.m., holding the hand of an elderly woman in the ICU. I remembered to check my phone during my break. There was a short text from Mark. "How's it going there?" I replied with a picture of coffee. He didn't answer. At a.m., he sent me a good night sticker. Good night? At 4 in the morning? The details started lining up like cars at the Colonial Drive stoplight. The wet towel I didn't use. Mark's pajamas tossed in the laundry basket when he usually folds them. The bedroom window cracked open an inch, and Orlando is humid. The air comes in tasting like rain, the curtains sticking to your skin. One day, Noah wakes up to a noise and says he saw Aunt Linda. I wanted to tell myself he's mistaken. He's a kid, but Noah described the sandals. And the sandals sparkled in the security camera footage. I bought an extra motion detector at Target and installed it in the hallway leading to the bedroom, low enough to be invisible unless you knew it was there. I also set the baby monitor app to record continuously. And before my next shift, I did something ugly. I hid my iPad behind the cushions of the bedroom armchair, camera pointed at the door. "Rachel, this is over the top." That was my nurse voice, trying to apply protocols to real life. At home, I wasn't protocol. I was a wife desperate to know the truth. At dinner, Mark seemed normal. He made quesadillas in the skillet, added guacamole from Whole Foods, and poured himself an IPA into a glass. "You've been distant," he said, touching my shoulder. "I'm just tired from the shifts," I replied. Linda sent a message to our family group chat. "If you need, I can stop by later. I'm still up," followed by a winking emoji. I typed "no need," then erased it. I left it on read. Noah fell asleep at 8, clutching a plastic dinosaur. I kissed his forehead. I felt guilty for suspecting so many people. I felt angry for having to suspect at all. At p.m., I grabbed my badge, put on my hospital coat, and kissed Mark at the door. "I love you," I said. He smiled, his hand on my waist. "I'll call you later, babe," he said, but I didn't go to work. I took a long loop around the 408, my heart pounding in my teeth, and parked 2 streets over. The car smelled like plastic and anxiety. I sat there with the lights off, watching the little squares of the camera app on my phone. Time moved slow. 12:56 a.m. nothing. 1:01 nothing. 1:07 garage motion detected. The lock registered the secondary code. My chest became a drum. I didn't see her face, only the shadow sliding across the kitchen. That was enough for me to know that if I went in now, there'd be no turning back. I had to choose between the scream and the proof. And the proof was just one play button away. I pressed play. But what the camera recorded wasn't just betrayal, it was a sentence that changed my life forever. The iPad image shook slightly, propped up on the pillow. The microphone picked up the sound I would hate to remember the most. Low laughter, a familiar the slow turn of a doorknob. My heartbeat was in my neck, like someone was knocking on a door inside me. The door opened just a few inches. I first saw the peony tattoo on the ankle, the same one Linda got in Miami on a weekend I spent sick with a fever. Then, the faint jingle of her thin bracelet, tick 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 against the wood, and Mark's voice, far too close to my pillow, saying, "Close it more, Rachel never suspects." My stomach turned to salt. The AC kicked on, blowing cold, and my fingers froze on the steering wheel. On the screen, a flash of skin, the sparkle of her sandal hitting the carpet, Linda's whisper, "Your son woke up last time." And Mark replied, "I gave him an iPad. He always goes back to sleep." In that instant, my world stopped. Linda laughed the same laugh she uses at Sunday lunches, like everything is just a joke. She said, "You didn't delete the messages, did you?" Mark answered, annoyed. "I'm not stupid." They turned, and for a second, the camera caught her face coral lipstick, hair pulled back with a blue scrunchie. And it caught his face, my husband running his hand along her waist with an intimacy I could recognize blindfolded. I heard the smacking of the kiss. The mattress gave way. The sheet I'd folded that morning wrinkled with the sound of paper, and then the sentence whispered like poison, "She'll be at the hospital until 7. Let's enjoy ourselves." I wanted to get out of the car, pound on the door, wake the entire Baldwin Park neighborhood, but my hand went to the record button. I needed everything: audio, video, dates, times. The baby monitor made a noise. Linda whispered, "Mark, what about Noah?" Mark stayed silent and kept touching her. His silence said more than any word or action could. Then, tiny footsteps in the hallway. The sound of little feet. My son's sleepy voice. "Daddy." My whole body went up in flames. Mark whispered, "Go back to your room, champ." Linda pulled the sheet over herself, but the camera still caught the glint of her skin. "Are you playing with Daddy, Auntie?" Noah asked, confused. A long pause, the air vibrating. And Linda said, "Auntie's leaving now, sweetheart. Go back to sleep." The video shook as my tears blurred my vision. The scene had a smell I could almost make up. Men's deodorant, cheap vanilla, cold air, the leather of our headboard. I shook with rage hearing Mark lock Noah's bedroom door. That sharp, dry click. I saved the file to iCloud, duplicated it, sent it to my personal email, and to my sister's just a dot in the subject line. I started the car. I wasn't going to walk into that house with my son awake. I wasn't going to turn the bedroom into a battlefield in front of him. I circled the block, parked on the street, and counted my breaths the same way I count 4 drips. 4 in, 6 out. When the garage door opened again at 2:53 a.m., Linda walked out with her hair down, her sandals glittering under the cold light. She smiled to herself, like someone making a promise to do it again. I got out of the car as the sky began to lighten. I walked into the house with the right key, no dramatic alarms. The smell of our laundry detergent made me nauseous. Mark was asleep or pretending. Noah was breathing deeply. The whole house was pretending. I put my badge away, washed my face, and left the iPad charging with the recording paused at the very first frame. I made coffee. The sound of the drip was a metronome for a heart at war. When Mark walked into the kitchen, hair messy, wearing an old Nike shirt, I felt like life had tilted on its axis. "You're home early, babe?" he asked. I looked up and said, "No." Then I turned the screen toward him, and he saw the video and still tried to convince me that somehow it was my fault. "Rachel, this isn't what you think." The clutch fell to the floor like a porcelain plate. I took a deep breath, wrapped my fingers around the hot mug, the smell of coffee anchoring me, and said, "It's exactly what I think and what I saw, Mark." He tried to grab the iPad. I stepped back. "In front of Noah? In front of our son?" I said. "You locked his bedroom door." I spat in his face. He wiped it off, muttering, I was confused." "I'm sorry, babe. Confused as my son hearing you send his aunt away in the middle of the night." I shot back, my voice shaking with rage. Mark started building a narrative like someone trying to climb a crooked shelf. "You've been distant, Rachel. These night shifts." I felt lonely. Linda was. She was support. He took 2 steps closer. "We both made mistakes. But you're more to blame, Rachel." Right there, his attempt to flip the blame hit me like an electric shock. I saw myself in the hospital waiting room, explaining to a family that responsibility isn't a medal, it's a weight. I work for us, Mark, for Noah, to pay the mortgage, the food, your peace. I know, he said, staring at the floor. It's over. Over, okay? I'll talk to Linda. End it. You'll talk to Linda? A bitter laugh escaped my mouth. You've been talking to my aunt for how long, Mark? His silence was the answer. I grabbed my phone and called my sister Ashley. Come to my house, now. She heard the desperation in my voice and said, I'm on my way. While I waited, I opened the hallway closet. I remembered a box Linda brought when we moved in things from the old house. Inside, I found spare keys and a tape-stained envelope, documents, a service agreement for our alarm system, signed with my name only it wasn't my signature, forged, and there it was, Linda Harris listed as secondary authorization. The floor tilted under me. Ashley showed up, hair tied back, baseball bat in hand, with a look that said she could fight the world. She saw my face, and I showed her the video. She went silent, then the rage came, and she wanted to go after Mark. I stopped her. Don't. My son is here. She headed toward the door anyway. I'm going to her house right now. No, I yelled. We'll go to her house. But with proof in hand and a decision in mind. Decision. I needed one. Divorce on the spot? Scream until my throat tore? Throw his things out onto the lawn? I thought of Noah, imagined his eyes asking why our home had turned into a minefield. I thought of myself in scrubs, walking hospital corridors with tired steps but unshaken resolve. Do you want to try therapy? Mark asked, desperate, trying to glue together a vase I didn't even want anymore. You want me to want that, I said. But I want you dead. That's what I want. I locked myself in the bedroom with my son. I gave myself a deadline until tonight. I would hear Linda one last time. I would hear whatever story she'd invent. And then I would decide how I'd write the ending. I picked Noah up, buried my face in his hair, and silently promised him that his home would be safe again. Ashley made coffee. Mark sat at the edge of the couch like a man waiting for his sentence. At 5 p.m., I texted Linda. I'll be over at 6, she replied with a heart emoji and, bring a cake, I sent back. I'll bring the truth, that's all. I grabbed the Camry keys and left. Linda opened the door before I even knocked, like she'd been waiting, and what she said next dismantled my entire past. Linda opened the door with freshly applied coral lipstick, her sweet perfume flooding the hallway. Her house had always smelled like Bath and Body Works candles and overpowering vanilla that sticks to the roof of your mouth. Rachel, sweetheart. She tried to hug me. I stepped back. I said flatly. Her eyes flickered for a second. She lowered her head and asked, did Mark tell you? I saw, I repeated, placing my phone on the table. The video paused on its thumbnail. She went to the kitchen, grabbed 2 glasses, and offered me water. I didn't answer. Instead, I asked, since when? And Linda. Linda placed her hands on the counter. Before you 2 got married. The floor vanished beneath my feet. What? I screamed, fury cracking my voice. And she kept going. Mark and I. We were seeing each other before you even met him. I ended it when I saw you 2 were getting serious, that you were going to get married. I swore we wouldn't see each other again. But when you started those night shifts, we slipped, sweetheart. I let out a bitter laugh. Slipped? You came into my house with the code I gave you to take care of my son, you bitch. That's slipping? She rubbed her face. I did take care of Noah many times, and on those nights when you slept with his father? I asked, my voice full of venom. Linda calmly filled my glass with water and said, you were always the best. I wanted to be like you. Beautiful, smart, hardworking. The room spun. You forged my signature on the alarm system, Linda? She hesitated. I just wanted to make it easier if Noah needed me, I shot back, or when you needed to sleep in my bed with my husband. She bit her lip. Rachel, I thought you knew how to forgive, sweetheart. Family is family, isn't it? Mark called right then. I ignored it. Linda's voice dropped even lower. And there's more. 2 years ago, when you lost the baby, Mark was with me. My entire body froze. That night, the night I went through the worst pain of my life. You two were together? She nodded, eyes glassy. He told me his phone had died. He lied to me too. In that moment, my outrage hardened into something heavier. The grief I thought was mine alone now had new, jagged edges. The phone rang again. I answered. Mark's breathless voice. What did you two talk about? I pulled the phone away from my ear, looked at Linda, and saw like a flash all the little moments I'd ignored. The quick glance between them at the 4th of July barbecue. The inside joke about a bar in Winter Park. The duplicate gift he accidentally got me for my birthday. It was all there, had always been there, and I too busy saving lives hadn't saved my own. You two are done today, I said, calm in the way only a nurse can be in chaos. Linda tried to touch my hand. I pulled back. I'm going to tell Nancy, she whispered, guilty as a child. My mother? Yes, your mother, she said. The words spun around in my head. I pictured my mom hearing this, unraveling her sister, unraveling me. A family, stitched together by secrets. You're going to tell her, I said. And you're deleting your code from my house. Now. She opened the app, her hands trembling, removed the access. I took a photo of the screen. I left. Orlando's heat hit my face thick, carrying the smell of asphalt and old rain. In the car, Ashley called. Well, it's over, I said. You going to forgive her? She asked. I'm going to forgive myself first, I replied, already knowing exactly what I was about to do. When I got home, Mark was on the porch, eyes swollen. I talked to Linda. It's over. It's over for you. For me, we're over. He collapsed on the step, started crying hard, and asked, Am I going to lose you and Noah? I thought of my son and the sentence that had cracked my world open. You've already lost the woman who trusted you, I said. Now we're going to talk custody. And the house, that night, someone knocked on our door and brought the final piece I didn't know was missing. The doorbell rang at 9. Ashley opened it. It was my mother, Nancy, her eyes red, holding a crumpled envelope. I know, she said, sitting down without ceremony. And before you even asked, Linda called me. She told me everything. She placed the envelope on the table. Inside were old photos, an unsent letter, and a recent note Linda had written to herself. Don't tell. My mother sighed. She's always envied what you built, Rachel. I never thought she'd go this far. I looked over at Mark, sitting far away, as if the living room had turned into an ocean. I thought of Noah sleeping, safe finally. I'm filing for divorce, I said, my voice steady. And you're leaving the house today, Mark. Ashley's staying with me. Tomorrow, I'm going to see a lawyer. Mark nodded, eyes down. There were no excuses left to stand on. Before leaving, he knelt in the hallway outside Noah's room and said, I messed up, whispering maybe to me, maybe to the air. I didn't answer. The front door closed with a click that sounded like the end. The next morning, I took Noah to Lake Eola. We bought a bagel at Einstein Bros, fed the ducks. He held my hand and said, Mommy, the house is quiet today. I smiled in a way that didn't hurt. It's going to stay that way. That afternoon, I changed the garage code, reinstalled the alarm, swapped out the sheets, washed the curtains. The house smelled clean cotton and lemon. Ashley stuck a post-it on the fridge. You are your own rock. That night, I sat on my bed and listened to the silence. Good silence. Whole silence. Not emptiness space. I picked up the iPad and deleted the video after saving it where it mattered. Not because I wanted to forget, but because I chose what to remember. I went back to the beginning, to the sentence that changed everything. Mommy, Auntie was in the bedroom yesterday. Yesterday was over. Today is the start of another story. And if anyone ever asks me how I recognize the truth, I'll answer, because a small heart told me and mine finally believed it.
If this story touched you in any way, subscribe to the channel now and help me amplify women's voices. Asterisk, turn on notifications so you don't miss the next ones. Asterisk, share it with that friend who needs to hear this today. And tell me in the comments what you would do if you were in her place. See you in the next story, and it could be yours.